Hey everyone, so this is Elementary, Season 5, Episode 2, called Worth Several Cities. And basically, the episode, starts off with Joan um, in the apartment with Shinwell, um, in her and Sherlock's apartment with Shinwell. And they're signing the papers to get him into the new apartment. And her sister has vouched for him, and he's skeptical of living there, but she says, rebuilding a life is a process. It's a process. Sherlock then is brought to a gang, or seen being brought to a gang alive. So he's like, well, if you're bringing me here alive, you don't want to kill me. You want me to help you or something. Something. You just want something in return if you're bringing me here alive. And so the gang that brought him there want to hire him to find out why three of his gang members plus a smuggler were killed. Um, Sometime later, after the opening credits, Sherlock tells them that Ray, who wasn't part of the gang, and the smuggler was killed first. But before Ray was killed, he was pistol whipped to divulge where the container that is nearby was. Underneath the container is a trap door for a hiding place that held what Sherlock suspects was crystal meth, or not crystal meth, methamphetamines. The gang leader then asks who did it, and Sherlock says five people or more with military background. Um, and the gang leader wants to know how long it will be until Sherlock gives them a name. Sherlock says that he isn't inclined to give them one. The gang leader says he does it or he and don't die, but Sherlock's like, well, that isn't exactly motivation to do it um, since he will need to be let out to do a more thorough investigation. So the gang leader says that he'll grant Sherlock a day, and instead of taking payment for finding out who killed his men, Sherlock wants a name from the gang leader about who's selling heroin laced with fentanyl, because 12 people have died so far because of it, including someone that he knows from NA. Um, Joan is then seen upset about it later, wants to involve the police, but Sherlock's like, no, we're not going to. So Joan, tells about how it went Shinlo before Sherlock um, reveals why he's looking at a live footage of a harbor. He reveals the reason why he's doing that is because there was a shoe print left behind at the crime scene that is by a North Korean shoe. So he's looking at live footage of the harbor from North Korean ships because they have apparently become good smugglers. Um, there's a captain of a North Korean ship who's brought in sometime later who says that he smuggled in the things by himself without anyone else. He killed Ray by himself as well. They blow holes into his confession basically, and he says that he will confess to anything, but his employers won't like it if they're found out. So Ray apparently stole a box of the captain's. When the captain found Ray after a week, Ray was already dead with the box gone. So they took their meth bag that was stolen by Ray, um, and then in Gregson's office, they figure the captain is telling the truth. So Sherlock got and meanwhile, Sherlock has got the captain's boat's phone and feels something isn't right about it. A photo was taken. A photo of a house was taken on Long Island where where Sherlock thinks Ray took his mistress, but since he wasn't married, it's kind of suspicious as to why he would bring him there. So Marcus and Charlotte go to the house while Joan has Actually, no. This is where Joan, finalizes the paperwork with on Shinwell's apartment. Earlier, at the beginning of the episode, they just, looked at the apartment. So that after then, now when they show Shinwell signing the paperwork, Shinwell, realizes that he has a daughter named Siobhan, and Servan's mother died 4 years prior while he was in prison by an overdose. And Charles was, kind of surprised that she had she had she had taken, drugs and everything because she didn't seem the type to take it because she hadn't before. But anyway, and now he wants Joan's help to find his daughter. Before she can give an answer, there's a knock on the door. When she opens it, a guy calls her by a Chinese name, which is, according to Joan, is a name that even her mother doesn't call her by. And so they come in, like the group of men come in, talk with Joan, and ask that when she and Sherlock uh, find the box, that um, they give him a call, um, with and everything, and so he gives her this card with their number and the amount of money they are willing to give to them if they give him if they give the three men the box, which the amount is $50 million. And then at the house on Long Island, Marcus and Sherlock are then find out that Ray's mistress is actually a man, it's not a woman. So that's why he kept it a secret, because he didn't want people to know that he was homosexual. Um, and the guy reveals that the item in the box Ray took possibly had the real Emperor Jade seal of China in it. So once Sherlock gets back to the house, Joan reveals that she thinks the guys who came to the house were from Taiwan. Um, and so Sherlock finds out that there was a catering company that Ray used to have that um, and he thinks that, the catering company, delivered to wherever um, Ray was wherever Ray was um, auctioning off um, the jade seal. Um, and so Sherlock calls and finds out where the address um, is, and so they go to the address and see that um, well that they when they get to the place, I think it's like a garage or something like that, or something, I don't know. Anyway, so whatever that address is, um, they when they get there, the the garage door that opens to either let in or let out people. There's like two indents on the metal bar that's on the ground, and so Sherlock assumes that it was because of an armored vehicle, but not necessarily an armored truck. Um, so they figure that the car they found fits belongs to Wayne Vax, who is the CEO to a company that does fracking and coal mining. Um, Joan tells Sherlock that Sherlock's daughter, and Sherlock's advises her not to go through with it because it seems like she's trying to make up for her lack of a father, or her lack of a biological father. Um, but before that conversation can go anywhere, they ambush Vax. But before they really can go anywhere with Vax, get any headway with Vax, they're served with a restraining order by his lawyer, and so they are not to go within 50 feet of him. Um, so back at the house, they realized that Vax had remembered them from 2 years prior when they had investigated him on another matter and had the restraining orders drawn up then. Um, and saved them when Sherlock and Joan had gone nowhere with the previous investigation. So Wendy, no, before I get to that, um, no, never mind. I'll just keep going. So Wendy, that's I mean that I think that's her Americanized name and not her Chinese name. Um, she but anyway, she comes up to the she knocks on the door, and she's the daughter of the Minister of Commerce of the People's Republic of China, and she tells them of an offer from her father. The People's Republic of China is offering to pay more than what Taiwan is willing to pay, which is again the $50 million, and um, before she leaves. And so the juggler then calls again. He had been repeatedly, calling repeatedly, and Jones like, call him back before he comes over and kills us. So Sherlock answers the call, um, and then goes to visit him. Sherlock tells him that he is making progress and thinks he knows who the killer is, but can't say who it is in case he actually is mistaken. The drug lord then, shows Sherlock a dead body, which is the person who has been selling the laced heroin. The guy's name is Jimmy Coslow. The drug lord tells Sherlock that he has another 2 days to find out what happened, um, before, leaving. Sherlock then finds out that Jimmy was the one responsible for the bad heroin later on. He was actually the one. Then Joan says she has emailed the people Sherlock wanted and got a response back. Um, so Sherlock then goes to Bax's building, which or to a particular distance away from Bax's building, which is 50 feet, and with the megaphone says through it the names of the people that were killed by his company. Um, when the lawyer who served them restraining orders the previous day comes out and says if he doesn't leave, she'll call the police. But he's like, I'm 50 feet away from the building, so you can't arrest me or you can't have me arrested. Then she tries to switch tactics and says that you can't slander Vax, but Sherlock is like he's ready for her, and she's like, you know what? No, in 2009, or if it was 2008, I don't remember, but like anyway, in 2009, your client Vax said or had was found guilty of um, killing those people, regardless of what the degree of charge, regardless of the degree of charge that he was convicted of, he still killed those people, or he's still responsible for killing those people. So it's not slander. Um, so then he threatened to say the names of Vax's co-conspirators that were not um, found out and convicted, and he will say those names unless he gets a meeting with Vax. So he meets with Vax and he says the list, and Vax then says the list Sherlock is threatening to release will affect others, but not necessarily him. So he's proposing that instead of releasing it, instead of Sherlock releasing it, Vax will help fund the imperial jade of China. So and Vax just the people, looking at the people who lost um, the bid. Um, Joan then tracks down Siobhan's aunt elsewhere because she legally changed her name and it's public record. Her aunt doesn't want to let Siobhan know where his daughter is because she thinks he is still a criminal and is after something, and he's just gonna make her life um, hell, and it's just gonna be all trouble for her. Then back at the house, after meeting with the relative, Joan meets C, just like the letter C, and that's it, an associate of Sherlock's. C reveals the documents are forgeries because uh, previously Vax had said that he is now the owner of the imperial jade of China, and he had documents to prove it. Um, because he bought the imperial jade of China. Um, the documents are seen by are most likely forgeries, um, and so, but C thinks that Vax actually did win the auction. So C further then goes on to say that she suspects the Densham Institute, which is a museum that was founded 100 years ago. And David Densham, who is a descendant of the original two founders of the institute, who is also curator in chief, wants to make it a more fitting monument. I think the Jade Seal will do that. C had tried to contact him about a painting that he had on display um, 2 months prior, but got told he was out of the country in Asia by his assistant or secretary or whichever one, and wouldn't be in contact with internet or phones. And after returning, um, David said that he told C that he had been on an acquisition trip, and so they basically all think that he was in North Korea, since there aren't that many places in Asia where you can be cut off from the world and still try to find meaningful art. So they then go to Densham's house, and as Sherlock and Joan are walking and talking about this whole thing, they see that police cars are outside his building. They go in and see that he's dead. The Sherlock's like, I know what the murder weapon most likely was, and the detective on scene's like, well, yeah, we know what it is because the murder weapon's still here. Um, and it happens to be the jade seal everyone has been trying to find. So Sherlock and Joan are putting, ink on the bottom of the seal so experts can, tell if it's the real one or not. When Marcus comes in and tells them that the detectives moved off his ex and now think Densham had Ray killed to get the jade back. The drug lord had Densham killed in revenge. Sherlock thinks that theory is wrong, and Marcus pretty much agrees. And Sherlock's like, well, whoever killed Densham killed Ray, because um, both of them were killed by a 6 foot plus um, left-handed person. Um, and they figure that after the investigation is finished, it will be returned to China via someone else who wouldn't, so someone else, so it wouldn't be traced back. So the jade wouldn't be traced back. They also then figure that the person trying to be rewarded for getting it back because of a Chinese story that Joan tells them. Um, and then Gregson comes in and tells him that Wendy's there. Um, and so Sherlock has Wendy send a message for him. Once that's done, um, Sherlock goes to Bax's office, and Sherlock's like, I know you're nearly bankrupt, and that's why he can't pay his political cronies, because in addition to killing 22 people, the mine that collapsed created a landslide which polluted a large sway in Kentucky, in a Kentucky watershed, and he is obligated legally to clean it up, which would cost him hundreds of millions of dollars. Um, Sherlock also then reveals that there is a mineral contract up for grabs to dig for minerals in China, and that is worth billions. And China has decided, or rumor has it that China has decided to pick up Bax for that contract because Bax had helped find the Jade Seal, or get the Jade Seal back to China. So Sherlock thinks his head of security um, was put on a plane, put on Bax's private plane, um, and sent to Morocco, which doesn't have a extradition treaty with the U.S. because his head of security killed both Ray and Densham. Um, and Sherlock's like, well, um, first Vax says, well, I mean, if that's true, why didn't I just, um, give the seal back to China, but Sherlock's like, well, you didn't do that because you couldn't pay for the seal itself. So he had Ray killed, then take it, and before he could hammer out a deal with China, he found out Sherlock suspected him of the crime. So he had Densham killed, and then leave it with him so that the U.S. government would give it back to China for him, um, once it's authenticated. And since Sherlock can't prove any of this, he is willing to tell the drug lord his suspicions about Vax, and the drug lord will most likely kill him anyway, since Ray was his favorite smuggler, and without any, proof. So Sherlock proposes this deal: if Vax confesses, if Vax confesses, is tried, and ultimately convicted, Sherlock will then, convince the drug lord that the justice was done. Shinwo, elsewhere, Shinwo, texts Joan, and she meets him in this park where Shinwo is watching his daughter practice soccer with the soccer team. And he reveals to Joan that the reason he was able to find his daughter, was because she wasn't the first person that he contacted for help. Um, Joan's like, well, then, you can't go talk to your daughter. And he's like, you know what? I know that in order to be able to talk to her, I have to earn that right to do it, to be able to do that. So he's just, looking, watching her from afar at the moment, which I think is very good of him to do. And um, I think that's the best way to do it. Um, Back at their place, Sherlock has convinced the drug lord that Vax was getting justice, um, and as he's doing that, he's putting up one of the pieces of paper where he put the ink on the bottom of the seal and put on the paper, and he he got he had it framed and everything. He's putting it up on the wall. That's pretty much the whole entire episode. Um, I don't know. I thought this was a standard episode. I didn't really have too much to say about it. Other than Chinwell's, storyline. I mean, it was to me just a standard episode of Elementary. I like seeing um Nelson Ellis as in this role, because as I said previously in the first episode, um, I really liked him in True Blood as Lafayette, and I thought he did a great job in that role, and I think he's doing a really good job in this role so far. Um, I'm hoping that they continue with I'm really looking forward to seeing them, um, grow this character more, and um, be able to, get in contact with his daughter. But I'm thinking what they're going to do is they're gonna have him have this little misstep where he messes up, not necessarily with drugs, but he's gonna have a little misstep with he's gonna have this little misstep where he gets in trouble with the law, or almost gets in trouble with the law, and then that will prevent him from seeing his daughter for a while, where and she might get moved somewhere else, and so he won't be able to see his daughter for a while. That's my take, is that he's gonna almost get in trouble with the law and everything, so, and that will prevent him from seeing his daughter. So that's the only thing I can really say as far as um, a long term prediction of mine. As far as like next week's episode goes, next week's episode, or this, I guess you say this week's episode, it has Sherlock and Joan searching for this missing woman, which takes them to a clothing optional retreat. Um, and it a suspect is possibly her husband. Could her husband possibly be set up for it? Who knows? Um, I won't say that he was her husband is definitively the one who caused her to go missing, because based off of what we saw in the preview, there's no information um, that points to him being the one who did it. So I don't really want to say that he did it and it turns out it's not him. So yeah, I'm not gonna definitively say it's the husband. I I mean, I will say he's a good suspect if there's been, um, past events where he hit her, and and stuff, and just basic domestic violence, then okay, well, I would consider him being a prime suspect. But I mean, I'm not gonna say for sure based off of what we saw, without any evidence to say that he actually did it. So, I'm not really gonna make any predictions as far as who could have. Actually, you know what? I will say a prediction. Actually, I will say a prediction. I'm gonna say the wife isn't dead. And she just gone missing of her own free will. She's trying to make it look like her husband is guilty, and making her disappear, so that because of uh whatever reasons. I mean, it could be because she doesn't like the way he is a pushover, or because he may have cheated on her, and so she wants to get back at him by making it look like he killed her. Um, who knows? Who knows why she actually did it? But I'm gonna say that she is making it look like he killed her or had something to do with her disappearance, at the very least, because she wants to make him pay. That's what I'm gonna predict. So that's exactly what I'm gonna predict. Because I don't. I mean, based off of the preview, there's nothing to say that the husband did anything to her. So I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, he did it when I don't even know. So I'm gonna predict that she's the one that is had voluntarily ran away to make it look like like her husband had either A, kidnapped her, um, to get like ransom money or whatever, or B, killed her. So that's what I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about this episode, and then in next week's episode, and future episodes, and I will see you guys later. So hit like if you like this video, hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you guys next week, or later this week, next week, um on Elementary. Bye.